Hi and welcome to my new video. Today I wanted to talk about volatility. As we all know, volatility seems to be completely dead in 2022. Even though the stocks have fallen sharply, volatility has not spiked yet. It is a very unusual time for stocks and especially for volatility. US economy still has a very high level of inflation. In my opinion, we are still going to see stocks going down quite a bit, even though they have risen recently, especially like the tech stocks such as Nasdaq or S&P 500 index. Today I wanted to make a comparison between volatility index and what happened during 2008 financial crisis and where we are right now. I'm using stock charts for this comparison, as you can see. So this is on the left side, you can see a graph of volatility index VIX during the 08 financial crisis, and on the right side we can see the same time frame but in today's times, let's say. When I look at these two comparisons of volatility index, you can already see many similarities. For example, in 2008, you can see that the volatility has gone up tremendously, basically from 20 to almost 90. A very similar thing happened during 2020 when we obviously had the COVID-19, and it has also gone up like very fast and very sharply. I hope we can see the same happening in 2022 because we are basically in a bear market, even though stocks have gone up recently. But I think the same is going to happen in 2022. Even in 2008, when we basically had a stock market crash, the worst one in the recent history, even though COVID-19 was kind of similar. You can see that the stocks, they have not just dramatically fallen down, but it took some time. But on the other hand, for the volatility was the same, especially in August, September, when it happened, the volatility just went basically ballistic. Maybe we can look at the percentage time frame. So for the volatility, it has gone up by 300%. So when the same was to happen during 2022, we would probably see again volatility around the same levels, because it's trading actually also at around 20. So do you guys think that volatility is completely dead, or can it revive, and can we finally make some money off of it? If you are not sure how to trade and when to enter trade when trading volatility, make sure to check out my other videos. I have a bunch of videos with a step-to-step guide on how you can basically enter trade when it's a good time to enter trade. On the other hand, my guide is pretty simple. You just need to enter volatility usually when stocks are trading at very high levels, which is not the case now, and when volatility drops quite a bit and is trading around 30 RSI level. So based on that, we know that it's basically oversold, and that might be the best time when you should enter the trade, and you can definitely make a ton of money. Everyone is very bearish on stocks, which is also not a good indication, but maybe we might finally see some surprises. Let's maybe look at the Nasdaq index and what was going on also during the financial crisis. So I'll try to get the same time frame. So it's 2008. So what actually happened during the 2008 financial crisis? So we can see that we basically had a very good times in the stock market. I'm talking about Nasdaq 100 index right now was going up. And then starting from the beginning of the year, we can see some sharp declines. So basically it dropped like 20%. which is very similar to this year market sell-off, even though it dropped maybe like by 30%. Then it basically recovered a bit, I mean not a bit but almost completely, and then the real stock market sell-off started in September 2008 when it actually dropped by 50%. This was exactly the time when the volatility spiked. This year's setup is basically very similar, or I would say exactly the same, because you can see even the time frame is the same, basically period. So beginning of the year, Nasdaq, it went down by more than 30%. Now let's say we are in a recovery phase, so basically the stocks have already recovered by 20%, but the worst is, let's say, yet to come, and probably soon we will see a huge market sell-off. So if the stocks were basically to fall down by 50%, we would go to pandemic levels when the stock market crashed to around, so the Nasdaq would go down to around 7,000. If this happens, volatility will definitely go up by a lot. So look at the UVXY ETF that I'm using to trade volatility. Make sure not to hold it for a very long time because it's decaying, and basically you will lose all your money if you just hold on to it forever. But if you enter a trade during a good time and you quickly make some money, that's the best time to be in UVXY. So how does my strategy work? So basically I'm always trying to find the best time to enter UVXY when RSI is around 30 or below 30. Based on RSI below 30, you can basically say that the ETF or the stock is oversold and we are ready for a quick bounce, let's say. But sometimes it's very difficult to say when exactly to enter this trade because it can go much lower than this, even though you can see that in the last 3 years usually when the RSI is around 30, the stocks, this ETF UVXY bounces a bit. And for example, during the COVID-19 crash, we can see that it went ballistic again and it basically tenfolded. So if you had invested $1,000 into it, you would end up with $10,000 just within a month, let's say. If the same is to happen this year, basically UVXY would go to around $100 within a month. So be ready, make sure you know when it's a good time to enter this trade. It's first of all when the RSI is around 30, and then I usually look at the shorter time frame when I try to predict when is the best time to enter this trade. So let's maybe look at it and I'll try to explain it to you when or how I do it. So we will be looking at a basically a 6-month time frame. So let's look at a 6-month time frame for UVXY, and on the other hand for Nasdaq 100. As I already mentioned, my strategy is to enter volatility when basically the index or stocks are overvalued. So that means when they hit RSI at around 70, we can see that right now we are around 67, and this will be the second time when we hit this very high level, which is also a good indication because on the first one it would basically not work. On the other hand, UVXY has to be below 30, so this is also a good sign for us to maybe enter volatility. Make sure to understand it very well because it's a highly risky trade. Then I also look at the last few days, so I'm always trying to find, let's say, a plateau in the volatility. We cannot really see a great example of it happening within the last 6 months, but maybe over here you can see that basically this is, let's say, a plateau, even though it's not really a plateau. Very good indication of plateau can be seen on Nasdaq 100. So basically I'm looking for stocks, time of period when stocks are, let's say, trading sideways, so once they go up, once go down, because nobody knows what's gonna happen next, and this might be a great time to enter volatility. Then I'm also looking for the first green day. So this means that I'm looking for time when volatility closes above last day's close. So basically, maybe when we so maybe like over here you can see that it was going down, then we had let's say a day when it was not really doing anything, and then we closed higher the next day, but then we got a CPI report and we turned down sharply. So this is exactly what we are looking for. So right now what I would like to see is maybe a small plateau like this, when volatility will just be trading sideways for a few days. Then when it closes higher, just like over here, then I would enter trade during this time. We want to see, let's say, a green candle. In this case it's a white candle. And then what usually tends to happen is we will see some huge gains within the next few days. So within the next few days you can make around 30%. In this case I would expect, especially when the stocks come down sharply, I would definitely expect more gains, more than 30%. So this is just a very quick video. These are just my thoughts, what I'm thinking about in August 2022. I think I'll enter this trade within the next 1 or 2 weeks, maybe especially if we don't see any important news, maybe when the volatility goes down a bit, and then I'll expect very high gains within the next few months, especially if the stock market decides to go lower. We may not be right, we never know what may happen, but I think I'll try this trade. It's a very good high risk, high return stuff that we can see. The only issue is that even though stock market turned sharply this year, we did not really see any big spikes or hikes in volatility. So the question is volatility completely dead in 2022, and are we in a normal bear market and we will not really go higher? Well, let's see. Make sure, if you like this video, make sure to like it or subscribe, and I hope we will see each other soon with a ton of money in our portfolios.